Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Black Ops 6. Today I wanted to go over a number of news stories that have come out over the past couple of days because honestly it's just getting comical at this point. Like watching the state of the Call of Duty franchise right now is like watching a train wreck. It's hard to look away and the whole time you're just thinking to yourself there's so much they could have done to prevent this from happening. Let's kick things off here with this one. It's not necessarily Call of Duty's fault per se, but PlayStation went down. It may finally be back up in certain areas by the time this video goes live, but PlayStation has been suffering a ton today, which has led to a lot of fans being completely and utterly unable to sign into Black Ops 6, Warzone, or anything and try to play the game, which honestly might be a blessing for those players. Maybe they'll finally try something else out. The thing that gets me, and I'm sure plenty of you out there, is Call of Duty is completely unplayable when stuff like this happens. Whether it's Sony, Microsoft, Battle.net, Steam, or possibly even your own internet, if something isn't working properly, then the $70 game that you purchased is unplayable. You cannot do anything with it, and that's been a problem for years with countless game titles. This idea of an always online DRM really hinders the ability for people to play the product that they paid for, and for what? Like, what's really the benefit there? Like, how in the world do we live in a reality where you cannot play the Call of Duty campaign offline? Like, we can't play offline zombies, we can't do split screen, we can't do private match multiplayer against bots like we used to be able to. Like, I understand that in a lot of these game modes there are rewards and things like challenges and leveling up and whatnot, so they want you to be online so they can track all of your progress and feel like you're not losing anything, but you're telling me this trillion with a T dollar company can't just disable that stuff for a little bit while the servers are down? Like, sure, we won't be leveling up while we play zombies, but at least let us play zombies if our internet is down, or if PlayStation's down, or Microsoft is fucking up, or whatever else is happening out in the world, right? Just, they get attacked so often. DDoSes are happening all throughout the games industry, and they were talking about that just recently even. And while I'm sure they're doing their best to try to make sure the game is playable, well, sometimes the circumstances just don't allow for that to happen whatsoever. So instead of robbing your fans of the ability to play the product that they paid for, just let us play our stuff offline. If you want to jump onto the campaign for fun, there should be nothing stopping you from doing that. And again, this is not necessarily a Call of Duty specific problem, but it's definitely a problem with the games industry as a whole, and it always leaves fans feeling really frustrated. Now, if you're looking for something that is a Call of Duty specific problem, let's talk about Activision bricking the PCs of their own players. We covered this in my previous video, but to quickly recap on what's happening here, when they released the quote-unquote changes to the anti-cheat with Season 2, all that ended up doing was it caused a bunch of crazy crashing issues for a ton of players while not combating the cheating whatsoever. Like, cheating is worse than we've ever seen in the COD franchise. The anti-cheat updates are doing nothing whatsoever, and people's PCs are suffering as a result of the changes that they made to the anti-cheat. Reports were coming in left and right of people's PCs blue screening, their CPUs were overheating, and people's entire systems were getting bricked. It was really freaking bad, and finally, Activision has responded. Here we can see from the Call of Duty Updates Twitter page, a stability update has rolled out for Call of Duty on Battle.net, Steam, and the Microsoft Store to address the blue screens. But what the update did not fix, however, was the core problem. While actual blue screens aren't happening as much anymore, people's PCs are still crashing a ton while playing Black Ops 6 even after this most recent update. It's the same problem, it just doesn't have the blue screen. You'll be playing Call of Duty and out of nowhere, your entire PC will crash and you have to reboot. The worst part about this, aside from it being terrifying that a $70 video game is causing your PC to crash randomly, is it seems like almost everybody's CPU temperatures have risen by at least 10 degrees Celsius ever since the Season 2 update. Call of Duty is using up so many resources that's heating up people's machines and giving them temperature warnings, and while I'm certainly no expert when it comes to this stuff, that might be the main reason for all these crashes. Call of Duty is making your machine work overtime just to run the game properly, and that might be triggering some sort of failsafe within people's machines. Overheating is actually one of the main reasons why we have the blue screen of death in the first place. So while reports of the blue screen of death appearing are going down, reports of people's games and their entire systems crashing are rising right now, which is why a lot of people are downright afraid to play the game right now. And what fucking reality do we live in where people are afraid to play Call of Duty because it might break their systems? As if Call of Duty on PC was not already bad enough. For me personally, I've been playing COD on PC ever since Modern Warfare 2019 when crossplay came in and everything. I play all my games on PC and I have for years, but when it comes to COD, I had to go back to console because my PC, which can run literally everything on high to ultra settings in 1440p at 100 plus FPS, it can't do shit when it comes to COD, man. It runs so so freaking terribly. I'm over here capping my frame rate to 60. I'm putting everything on low settings. I'm tweaking this, tweaking that. Like, nothing I could ever do with the settings within Black Ops 6 would make the game run properly. And it was even worse when I tried to do things in Warzone. And finally, after all this time, I understand why that is. It's because Call of Duty is one of the most unoptimized and now potentially even dangerous games for you to play on your PC. And I would not recommend trying to play it on your machine until we start getting more reports of the problems actually being resolved. And speaking of the game being unoptimized, how about we check out this clip right here that's coming in from Drew000 over on Reddit. And here we can see that one of the reasons why Call of Duty runs so terribly, and even if you're a console player, pay attention here because this affects you as well. One of the reasons why it's so bad is because they don't actually bother to try to optimize anything on these maps. Here we see the new map Bounty, which has a ton of windows and glass on it. For Drew, he was getting really good frames when the glass wasn't broken, but as every match progresses, those windows eventually are going to be broken. And here, while he's testing in a private match, you guys can see that when there's a bunch of glass on the ground, his FPS cuts in half. Like, no wonder Black Ops 6 runs so terribly, even on console most of the time, because of little things like this, where as the match progresses, it causes more and more strain on your machine. Even for me personally, I'm playing on the Series X, and I notice so much hitching and so many FPS drops when I'm running around, and it's likely because of shit like this. Like, basic optimization would dictate that things like shattered glass on the ground would despawn after a while, the same way the bullet decals in the wall do, but they don't. And the end result is Call of Duty yet again making your machine work harder, which is causing things to overheat and underperform regardless of what system you are playing the game on. And speaking of underperforming, just to wrap things up here today, I'm seeing a lot of backlash online in regards to the new Terminator event within Black Ops 6 and Warzone. It's crazy for me to think that back in the day, if Call of Duty did a collaboration with something like Terminator, that would be huge, right? People would love it, but these days, fans are so fed up they aren't even signing in to experience the new event whatsoever. In fact, I'm willing to bet there's a huge percentage of you watching this video that had no idea this event was even happening, and for good reason. It's literally a reskin of the festive Archie event. There's no originality or creativity going on here. You just collect skulls or whatever they are while playing the game, and then you unlock your rewards. And I will say the weapon blueprint does look pretty good, and having a new score streak in the game is also a positive change, but the overall consensus seems to be that people just don't care. We've covered how important Steam numbers are and how indicative they are to the overall health of Call of Duty and what's happening with the franchise in my recent videos, and despite Season 2, despite yet another double XP weekend, despite the free trial event currently going on, and now the Terminator collaboration event, player numbers are still going down. They have not even peaked at 100,000 concurrent players over the course of the past month, and that is absolutely embarrassing. Call of Duty is not even down bad right now, it's down horrendous. A lot of people are saying the game is completely dead, and it's really hard to argue against that. And while all of that has been happening, Activision have done virtually nothing when it comes to correcting the core problems with the game and with the franchise itself. No amount of double XP, no amount of free trial events or Terminator collaborations are going to fix the core problems with the franchise and the reason why fans are leaving. They know why fans are fed up. We know why fans are fed up, and yet for some reason, they continue to sit in their ivory towers with their thumbs placed firmly up their asses. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this video here today. Kind of just like a little bit of a news roundup as we're covering all the things happening within the Call of Duty scene right now. Not a lot of good has been happening as of late, but as always, I'll keep you posted as we learn more and as more stories come out and as more things develop. But for right now, we're going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.